Well, I believe in Africa for the Africans in the context that there is a place called Africa, and that the people who live in that place must want to call themselves Africans.
He was the man destined to lead Kenya, a visionary, a unifier, a political prodigy. But in the streets of Nairobi, his dreams were cut short by an assassin's bullet. Who killed Tom Mboya, and why? This is the story of Tom Mboya, the prince who never became king. Thomas Joseph Mboya was born in 1930 on Rusinga Island, a land of fishermen and farmers. He was not born into power. He was not from a royal lineage. But even as a child, he had something different. A sharp mind, a hunger for knowledge, a dream for a better Kenya. At that time, Kenya was under British rule. Africans were second-class citizens in their own land, but Mboya refused to accept this. He won a scholarship to Holy Ghost College and later trained as a sanitation inspector. Yet his passion was politics, fighting for the freedom of his people. By his early 20s, Mboya was already leading workers' movements.
Do you believe that one day Kenya will be governed by Africans?
I believe that one day Kenya will be governed by a democratic government, representative and elected by the people.
He became the voice of the common man, demanding better wages, fair treatment, and an end to colonial oppression. The British saw him as a threat. They labeled him dangerous. But Mboya was too sharp to be silenced.
For example, most of the good farming land in the highlands was reserved originally for European farmers, so we have to bring Africans into this area.
By 1957, he was elected into the Legislative Council, making him one of the first Africans in government. At just 27 years old, he was already shaping the future of Kenya. Mboya was a man of big ideas, but also big enemies. He was respected by Kwame Nkrumah, Julius Nyerere, and even J.F. Kennedy. Yet at home, he faced rivalries. Some feared his ambition, others saw him as a threat to the old guard. Mboya had one problem: he was too popular, too smart, too powerful. He wasn't from the Kikuyu elite, he wasn't one of them, and that made him dangerous. On July 5, 1969, as he walked out of Chani's pharmacy in Nairobi, Tom Mboya was shot twice in the chest. He collapsed on the sidewalk, his shirt soaked in blood. Kenyans stood in shock. How could this happen? Who pulled the trigger? Njenga Njoroge was arrested and sentenced to death. But to this day, many believe he was just a pawn. The real masterminds were never named, never punished. Was this a political hit? A silencing of a future president? Tom Mboya was only 38 years old. He never got to see his full vision for Kenya realized. But his legacy lived on. He inspired Barack Obama Sr., bringing the first African students to America through the Airlift Africa program, one of whom was Barack Obama's father. Kenya lost a leader. The world lost a visionary, and to this day, the question lingers: who really killed Tom Mboya? Tom Mboya fought for education for all. He believed in lifting up a generation through knowledge. Pan-African unity. He dreamed of a strong, united Africa. Economic empowerment. He wanted a Kenya where everyone had a chance, not just the elites. Justice and equality. He despised tribalism and corruption, but in a country where power is everything, his vision was cut short. This was the story of Tom Mboya, the prince who never became king. Subscribe for more untold stories from history.
This is the first conference of all African political and trade union leaders ever to be held in Africa. The purpose of it is to try and get all these leaders to come together and discuss African problems with a view, of course, to try and find out means and ways of collectively trying to fight against things like imperialism and colonialism, racialism, tribalism, and of course questions of boundaries between states and that sort of thing.